Okay, so first of all, I would like to say that I take no responsibility whatsoever for any of the things that I say in this video. It's entirely possible that I am young and stupid and none of it will make any sense. Um, and it's also entirely possible that I'm young, but I'm also the purest I will ever be, and so I might keep coming back to these opinions, and they might, stay the same throughout my life, or they might change. I might become a person that I don't even recognize, and then I will come back to this and hopefully, get on the right path again. I don't know what will happen to me, but this video is what it is, and these are my thoughts as of today, like right now. At the end of this video, you're going to see a bunch of illustrations and a short movie from an artist called Steve Cutts. They're great, and you just need to spend more time looking at them. So I suggest looking at each illustration and at the movie over and over again, trying to really get into the details that are there, because there's tons of details. You just need more time to figure everything out. So just do it in your free time, and pause the video and rewatch it, and just until you get as much as you can from it. But before that happens, I will give you my views on certain areas of life. I'll try to talk about as much as I possibly can, and I will tell you what I think is fake about this industry or that thing, whatever. And I will also mention things that I just think that are not right, in general. Okay, so at first I have learning and education. This is the first category. What can I say about that? Well, education is a very broad subject, and just like any of these that I'll be talking about, it won't be easy to comment on that. Number one, I would like to see less theory and in general less material to go over in books, and I would like to see it being taught in different ways and using repetition very often, so that we actually come out of schools and we know something and we remember something, and this education gives us something, because as of now we have education systems and we all graduate. The problem is none of the knowledge stays in our heads. There are tons of other issues. I don't think that classrooms of 30 are going to work. I don't think they are working. I don't think they're going to work. I don't think that teachers can just teach separately, teach their own subjects and barely communicate with one another. I don't think that should be the case. I don't think that education should be about just sitting at your desk and staring at the text. I don't think that there's a lot of things that I disagree with. We have too much theory, too many complex names. We need all of that to kind of go, and we need to bring in something. We need to have a condensed version of all of it, and so that can stay in our heads. And then we need new material that is going to have more relation to the real world and more relation to the actual skills that we need in life today. So basically what I would like to see is less material but being taught more effectively. There's a lot more that needs to be said and done about this. This is just, it's impossible to comment on this. So let's just move on. All right, the next category is law, and when I think of law, I think of tons and tons of unnecessary regulations that we came up with because we've created this unnecessarily complicated world, and therefore we have unnecessarily complicated laws and documents and regulations, and that just creates opportunities for people to break the law. So that's the first thing that comes to my mind. The second thing that comes to mind when thinking of law is lawyers, obviously. And the thing that I don't like about that is I don't understand how anyone could defend and argue in court on behalf of someone that, has committed a crime or has done something inappropriate or wrong. I completely don't get how you could defend someone that's guilty, or someone that you don't know whether they're guilty or not of something. Anyway. The third category is everyday objects. So when I think of that, the only thing that comes to mind is we have too many of them, and we have too many brands that produce too many products and too many things. We've just and the thing about that is it'll be so hard to get people to stop using something or stop purchasing something, or just just because people get used to stuff so much, even to the stuff that doesn't do anything, that isn't necessary at all, that just is worthless, but they've been using it, they've been, they've gotten used to it, and it'll be so hard to get them to stop. The only way is through education and through just trying to show them that it's completely unnecessary. It just clutters the world is what it does. And yeah, but it's very hard to explain to people that they've been lied to, or that something isn't the way that they thought it was. It's just, yeah, it's a challenge. So yeah, other than the crazy amount of things that we have and that we use every day, and half of them or more are just completely unnecessary. I don't know what else. That's the main thing that comes to mind when I think of everyday objects, and also the fact that tons of things that we have that we've purchased are not long lasting. They just don't work that way. They break very quickly, and then we get a new one, and what happens to the old one? Well, we either keep it and we hoard stuff, or we throw it away, and then it ends up somewhere, and yeah. So that's what happens. The next category is illnesses and medicine. This is something that's, again, a very broad subject, but the main things that come to mind, well, number one, commercials of various types of medication. I've actually gotten to a point now where I cannot watch TV. The moment I turn the TV on, I just get mad. I cannot look at it. I have enough knowledge now that it just drives me crazy. I cannot look at a TV. So if you have a television set and you can still look at it, that means that you still have a lot to learn. The problem with commercials is they only show you the things that they want you to see, and they show you the effects that the medication is supposed to have on your body, the effects that you're looking for. What they don't show you is all the other effects that the medication is going to have on your body that you're not necessarily a fan of or wouldn't want to have, but that is something that they don't talk about. And also, how many times have you taken something and you haven't noticed any change, or there are all sorts of things. And yeah, and also what happens often is that you take medication for something that you do not have, for a condition or for an illness that you supposedly have, but you don't really have, because you either have a wrong diagnosis, or you've started taking something by yourself just because you're dumb, or or a doctor classified you here or there, or told you that you have this or that when you don't. And also, most of the time you get medication for the symptoms, for just the symptoms of an illness or a condition. It rarely is for the cause of an illness. There is the same kind of problem with doctors. They often have huge motivation to give you some kind of medication just because they have a contract with a pharmaceutical company. And also, there's one more thing. Usually, whenever there's a study of any kind happening, they're usually looking for a cure for this or that. They rarely, almost never, look for the cause of an illness. And that's because it's easier to produce a cure and package it and sell it, And also, that research is often sponsored by pharmaceutical companies. And also, if we started to focus on the causes of illnesses, we could find out that our lifestyles in general are the cause of this or that. And then the problem is we would have to change the whole system that we live in. And oh, no, 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 we don't want to do that. Okay, the next category is the city and buildings. And what is fake about that? Well, the one thing that I can think of is how we always see these pictures of places whenever you try to book a trip anywhere or whenever you try to learn about a place. You always see pictures that just marvelous pictures, and then once you actually get there, it never looks the way that it looked in the picture. And that's because pictures are taken on sunny days, and they're edited, and that can be depressing sometimes because you reach your destination and you're all ready to be, oh, just, it's gonna be breathtaking. And then you walk out and you see the place and it's like, hmm, well, it looked better on the brochure. Living the life, the city life, the real city life, not the suburbs, but the city life is just so it's like you're trying to pretend that you're living in a world that doesn't exist. A person that lives in that environment has a very distorted view of reality, in my opinion, because it's just the city center is something that we came up with, something that's good to visit, but life doesn't happen on concrete, and it's not about walking from one shop or from one pub to another. I once met someone that was afraid of animals, like in general, some kind of phobia, just all animals, all animals. Do you get that? Like including kittens and puppies and just all animals. And and I kept asking about it and I kept trying to understand it and I could not. I could not, and I don't think that that should be classified as a phobia. I think that that's a condition that requires treatment. That's not natural to feel that way about, the world. Anyway, the next category is office, and I don't know what I can say about that. I've only been in an open space once, and I didn't like what I saw. It was, well, it was just about as depressing as things get. It's really, since I was young, I could never imagine working in a place like that every day, 5 days a week. I cannot imagine. Just no matter what you do on your computer, it's God. The next category is money. And for that, again, too broad, I can't talk about it. But I did make a video about it. I made a book review. I think it was called The Web of Debt, the title of the book. So if you want to learn about money, go and watch that video. Then we have professions and jobs. That's the next category. The thing that I see that's wrong here is, again, it's too complex. We have we have professions now. We have names that just several words to describe a profession. We have all sorts of things, and most of it is completely unnecessary, and most certainly doesn't make people happy. The people that do the jobs and the people that use those services, everyone. Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with us, really. Then the next category is shopping and services, and I don't know what to say about that. My last video talks about customer service and about a few other things. And there we go. The next category is advertisement and media. I don't want to talk about ads because I don't have anything good to say about them. I just, like I said, I can't take it anymore. And as for media, when I think of media, I think of one thing. I think of Hollywood and I think of everything that's happening there. The one thing that I don't like about Hollywood is the fact that, well, I feel like it used to be a place that, no, I feel like it should be a place that attracts people that look good, have something smart to say, preferably both of those things at the same time. Hollywood now attracts what is weird. That's what it attracts. It just weirdness, queerness, direction, Hollywood. I don't understand it. I don't support it. I don't see a point in it. just about as fake as it gets and just about plastic as it gets. I don't know, I'm just hoping that there are individuals that are different. And if there aren't, then I'm hoping that I will become one in the future. Next category, music and instruments. This is something that I consider to be my area again, so I could talk about it for ages, but fake. When I think of fake, I think the number one thing to understand is the song that you hear on the CD or on the radio is a product. Again, it's something that it's not just music and the singer. At first you think that, oh, it's a song, someone is singing and there's music playing in the background. No, that's not what it is. It's a product, and it's a result of work of several people, and it's heavily edited, and it doesn't even resemble human voice, actual human voice. Even acoustics change the voice enough. So what you hear is almost always not even comparable to how you sound if you just sing by yourself at home. The next category is entertainment, and I don't know how I can possibly express all the fakeness that happens in the entertainment industry. Being an actor is lying for a living. That's what it is. They are just people that are very good at lying. So it's kind of the opposite of what you want. So yeah, I mean, really think about it. It's not easy to lie that well, the way that actors are capable of. So yeah, I don't think it's something that I just think it's something that you should be scared of, and not something that you should be idolizing. So it's very, yeah, so I don't fully understand that. But yeah, and the thing that I hate the most, I think, in entertainment is that we have tons of what we call adult content in entertainment now, and it's something that I would like to see change. I don't understand. To me, it's crazy to have those things and to watch those things, and yeah, I just don't understand it. The next category is food and cooking. We have no idea how our food gets produced. We have no idea how we get our eggs, milk, meat, whatever, what happens to the animals that produce those things. We really have no idea, most of us. And then there's all the additives and the substances that are part of our food that it's just everywhere. It's not possible to get rid of that unless you live in a warm climate and you can actually have your own garden with your own vegetables and fruits and things, and you can have your own animals and stuff, at least to get milk and eggs, not to kill them. But yeah, unless you have that, you can't really get away from the craziness. Most food and most cosmetics too are poisonous to some degree. We just don't know that. And yeah, the marketing that surrounds those products doesn't help.
The food industry is under full-scale assault. The crisis is global. More of us are wanting to know the source of the food we buy.
If you don't know what's in your food, get out of the business.
In the last 50 years, food has turned into a commodity to be traded like a stock or a bond.
With money to be had, there will always be fraud in the marketplace.
This has consequences beyond description.
What people don't realize is farmers are fading. You used to be able to be this big, happy family that stayed home together, that worked together all the time. That's not the case anymore.
We're aiding and abetting a massive act of theft. People should be concerned about this.
You get all the fish you want, you have no idea where it's coming from. Any of it frozen once, 2, 3, 4 times, all kinds of additives.
At your supermarket butcher, the parts from a single chicken will run you more than $7. To raise that bird, the grower was paid 36 cents.
The supply cannot meet the demand. Consumers are eating a product that is not honey.
Nearly half of food allergy deaths are caused by food from restaurants. Our bodies are rejecting the food we eat. And even the experts don't really know why.
There has to be someone that's willing to keep the fight alive.
This is all about making as big profits as possible.
This room, you're looking at $500,000.
Working hard isn't enough. Now you also have to work smart.
people will start to realize how wrong this is.
Are anybody's hands clean in this whole thing?
Nobody's hands are clean.
If you eat food, this is an issue you need to worry about.
Next category is emotions and feelings. What's fake about that? Well, most people hide their true emotions and feelings, and they simply pretend so that they can fit in. Overall, it's better to be your true self. Yeah, and one more thing that comes to mind when I think of emotions is protests. I absolutely hate protests. I don't think they're a good way of expressing what you want, and yeah. The next category is sounds. What's fake about sounds? Well, songs and music and soundtracks and every sound effect that happens in a movie. When I think of sounds and something that's not right, I think of the noise. I think of how we've created this world and we've paid absolutely no attention to how noisy it's become, and we haven't tried one bit to make it quieter, which is really, really nerve-wracking for someone like me who's very sensitive to certain types of noises. Like, I can listen to music all day long and I'll have a mild headache, but I'll be fine. But then try different noises, like try running motor engine or try someone swallowing something, and I flip out. I wish we paid more attention to that when creating this world. I wish we favored the quiet options and the quiet versions of products and things and transportation. And I hope that we will do that in the future. And going back to entertainment and advertisement and marketing and all that, it's funny how people have such sensitivity when it comes to, we're so focused on the aesthetics. We have such sensitivity, and yet we do not have that at all when it comes to the real world. The world that happens in reality, the world that doesn't happen on paper or on video or photo or any of it. We have virtually zero sensitivity when it comes to real life. We sometimes build single buildings that look good and impressive, but we never look at the place or at the city or just an area as a whole. We never do. So it's like the equivalent of that in entertainment would be to only care about the beginning of the movie and to shoot that perfectly, and then the rest of the movie just let some kid run around with an iPhone and film the rest. That's what it would be like. Anyway, next category is Time, and the only thing that I can think of right now is the Time magazine and all the people that have appeared on the cover of it, and some people shouldn't have appeared there, and yet they have. And yeah, so that's what's fake, and that's what's bad about that. The next category is numbers, and the first thing that comes to mind is the number of people that we have in the world, and how we've never paid attention to that, and how we've never planned any of it, and how we still don't seem to understand that Earth has its size, and this cannot keep going forever, and that the more people we have, the harder it is to provide everybody with a good standard of life, and with all the things that they should have, and the uglier life becomes, really. And when I think of numbers, I also think of statistics and things that you see online that aren't necessarily true, that you're bombarded with all the time. And I think of all the misinformation and all the just the clickbait and the whole thing. So when I think of numbers, I think of fake news, basically. Fake news is not just something that you saw online on some kind of website that doesn't really exist. That's not what I'm talking about. I mean, that's the real fake news, but you also have news that get reported by legal and well-known media outlets that are they are not objective. And yeah, the next category is transport, and when I think of transport, I think of cars, and I think of how ridiculous it is that we came up with this idea that anyone can have a car, and there's a billion of them in the world right now, and we're still making new ones, and we're still making advertisements where it just seems like a car is something that you should want to have, which is the opposite of what it should be. I mean, people should try to learn that cars aren't really We should focus on public transport and on improving it. And yeah, and asphalt isn't the way to go either. We can see that clearly now, and we're still stuck there. The next category is vacation, traveling. For that, you should just go back one video and watch the previous one. It's titled "Expert on Humanity Says," and there's gonna be a part about traveling there. And at the end of all of it is nature and weather. When I think of weather, the fake thing that comes to mind is the weather forecasts that we see, the extended weather forecast, 16-day, month long, whatever. It's almost funny looking at that because we do not have any idea as to what the weather is going to be like. It's the same thing with science. We have all sorts of books about science, and everything is given to you as a fact. Astrophysics, most of it is completely, I mean, it's all a theory, and it's something that, again, history, archaeology, all of those areas, our whole understanding of the world is theory, and yet we present it to everyone as a fact. We teach it at schools as a fact. We rarely admit that we do not actually know. Anyway, I've said a word or two about each of these categories, and while making this video, I actually realized that I talked about lots of these things in my previous videos, so I suggest that you check them out. And now it's time to show you the illustrations and the movie that I talked about at the beginning of this video. So yeah, I hope you enjoy. And I will see you next time. Bye.
Amore,